Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel, Brock Go Fast. Thanks for joining us today. I've got a topic that I want to talk to everybody about since I finally got to take the Shelby GT350R to the track. And some of you are going to hate it, some of you are going to understand it. But if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, like the video, comment down below because this one might start a little bit of a fun talk along or comments where people are just not agreeing. So one thing that I've noticed, I had an S2000 track car that I absolutely loved. And now that I've got the Shelby GT350R, there are some things that I keep saying now that I've tracked both. And it's like, I feel like my Shelby GT350R is my S2000 as an American car or for a grown-up. Just kidding. But no, it's everything about this car just reminds me of my S2000. And I just think they are so similar, and I laugh every time I say it, but it really is something. So I want to talk to everybody about that, and I'm just curious what your opinions are as well. So I know this is an interesting one, and I know some people are, if you're an S2000 guy, you're like, no way my car's like a Mustang. If you're a Mustang guy, you're thinking, there's no way a Shelby GT350 or GT350R would be like any Honda. Come on, what are you thinking? If you've had both or driven both, you're probably sitting there going, you know, that's a good point. I haven't thought of that. Or maybe you have. Maybe you watch some of these videos, you're like, man, these cars are so similar. So let's kind of like talk about this a little bit. And this is something that's been on my mind a little bit since I've had this car. So in 2015, I had a Nissan GT-R, 700 wheel horsepower, was super fast, 10.625 mile, had a bunch of stuff done to it. It was a nice car. It was kind of boring. And a lot of my friends tracked S2000s, and I could see what they did, and they were fun cars. I've always been an import person. I've always, my dad raced Nissans. I had imports. I've always had Nissans and whatnot. And I said to myself, you know what? The GT-R is great. My son's born. I need to focus a little more on him, as well as I want to go to the track and I wanted to start racing more. So I sold the GT-R, and within a month had an S2000, a 2006 AP2, 50,000 miles, Silverstone with the red and black interior. And I swear to you, people think I'm crazy. On the way home from picking up that car, in that hour that it took me to get home, I had more fun in that car than the GT-R the entire time. Yes, the GT-R was fun. It went great in a fast line. It handled pretty good. It was fun to go out to nice restaurants with the wife and things like that, but it didn't have a lot of joy. It didn't have a mechanical feel. As soon as I sat in the S2000, no, it wasn't the fastest thing in the world, but man, you could feel everything. You could shift and feel it. You could feel the steering input that you put into it. You could feel the car move around. It brought all that non-video game car stuff that I fell in love with when I was younger, or some of our viewers were younger, didn't have all the traction controls and things like that, and it just put a huge smile on my face. Had the top down and was cruising. 2 days later, went to my first autocross and had a blast in this car, and it was so much fun. As I had the car, I enjoyed it more and more, and I threw more and more and more parts on it. Went full aero. Did the bolt-in cage from Rockstar Garage, wheels, brake upgrades, did an exhaust, and we left the motor pretty stock as far as literally just an intake, test pipe, and exhaust, and that was it. And went out to the track, and I tell you what, it was a blast. I mean, the car redlined at 8,000 RPMs. It had that mechanical shift feel. The S2000 shifters and transmissions are some of the best in the planet compared to a Porsche GT4 and a Shelby GT350, just because they're just so notchy but buttery at the same time. And I tracked that car at Sebring in Road Atlanta for about 3 years, and I couldn't have been happier. Consumables were cheap. That red line, the feel of the car, you became one with it. as I cut through, I ended up selling that car, and now I have the Shelby GT350R. And the first time I got in it, it actually reminded me of my S2000 right away. You just felt snug in the car. The body had little roll. It just you felt as one as you drive this car, because everything just works together. Everything you do is one with the car. There isn't some crazy computer shifting it for you or rev matching it for you. You put what you input out, it inputs back into you, and vice versa with the car. So that was my first inclination of going, boy, these cars are similar but so different. And the funny thing is, I told my friends, I said, honestly, I feel like I got not only a dream car of mine, but like a big boy S2000. And before you get mad at me, before you say, well, big boy S2000, there's, the reason I say that is, let's talk about it, right? First off, we all know the motors, right? With the S2000 came out, was one of the highest horsepower, naturally aspirated inline 4 cylinders to make it to a production car. I mean, it made 240 horsepower, it revved to 8,000 RPMs in an AP2, and an AP1 it was 9,000 RPMs. I mean, this is one heck of a motor, and when this came out, everybody's like, holy cow, the Honda did it. This S2000's rear-wheel drive. This motor revs out. Okay, let's talk about the Shelby. Same thing just happened, just a little newer, right? A little longer down the road. We've got a V8 that revs to 8,250 RPM. It's all motor, it makes 526 horsepower. It's a little lower on the torque than the Coyote GT motor. Hey, but so is the S2000 motor, the F22. Lower on the torque, but it made huge strides in the higher RPM. So that goes to our next thing. The GT350 and GT350R versus the S2000 motor-wise, right? What do we talk about as the Shelby owners? It's a lot of high end, and we love to hear it scream, but it's a little low on the torque side. Same with the S2000. You have to rev to get these cars to move. And that's the best part about it, because when 4,000 or 4,500 RPM kicks in on both of these cars, you watch the tach just, and it climbs and climbs, and it's an awesome sound, right? The S2000, when VTEC hits and that extra cam comes in and that motor starts screaming, it puts the tingles on your arms. Same with that Voodoo motor. When it hits the right RPM and it really starts climbing, and you just want to hear more and more and more and more, and you look down, you're only at 7,000 RPMs and you've got one more 1,000 to go. I mean, it's exciting, right? The hair on your neck stands up, you're like, holy crap, and that's out of a V8. So that, honestly, that is like, boom, right there, one of the first things that made me think, gosh, I got my American, like, big boy S2000, like I got the V8 version. This is America's version of a car like that. And then you go to the transmission. If you've driven an S2000, you know it's just a nice little notch. Boom, boom. The gears are always there. It seemed like they're a short shifter from factory, because it's just boom, boom, boom. And on the center console, you just have it right there. Man, you get in the Shelby, and it's the same type of feeling. That Tremec transmission is so buttery smooth. It's so notchy at the same time. I know it sounds crazy, but when you feel it, you just understand. It's a notch to smooth, a notch to smooth. and it always seems to know that you're in the right gear. It always puts you in the right gear. You always got a little power. You got something just ready to go. And you know, when you shift in both cars, it's immediate like power delivery right away. You've got something ready to go for the next gear, and that just blew my mind as well. And that's just part of the main experience that made me really think, wow, these cars are so much alike. This is the American version. This is the Japanese version, and I've been fortunate enough to have both cars and track both cars now, and it really, 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 really made you think, you know, what an interesting concept this is. And to be honest, I don't think I'm the first one to actually say this on YouTube, to come to this thought after driving a Shelby. It's one of those things when you drive both. So if you're a Honda fan, don't get mad at me. If you're a Mustang fan, don't get mad at me. Just, you know, tell me your thoughts. If you've driven both, I'd love to hear it. If you've only driven one and love the sound of the experience, man, I'd love to hear that as well, because it is something outstanding. And when I went to the track in the S2000 for the first time, it was such a surreal experience to have a car that did so well on track, and Honda developed it as a just a cool convertible commuter car, and it is one of the most epic track cars that you can buy. I mean, it really does everything you want it to do. You feel everything that it does, and it just I think it can make you a better driver, really getting fast in S2000. And then I think it helped me going into the GT350R, because my track day at Sebring that you saw as well, it had the same long gears, the long RPM, the feel to it, the way it turned in, it came out on power. You know, I was able to really use the lessons that I learned in that S2000 and bring it into the Shelby GT350R, because of how similar and how fun they are together, and the way everything felt. It just reminded me of just taking that next step, you know, from 240 horsepower to 526, but really being able to really feel the car and understand what it's doing. And I've driven other cars that had lower RPM red lines, you know, 6,000 RPM is plenty powerful, but it's just not the same. These cars are so locked in. It's a 4-cylinder and a V8 that just rev out high, have the gearing matched to the car. Everything just works. So that was something interesting that I thought during the track day, and I thought, wonder if anybody else has kind of felt that same way, or has made that thought about driving this car, whether it's around town or on track. They're just so similar but so different. But the one thing that they both have in common, no matter what, they will put a smile on your face while you're driving it, no matter what. I mean, the Honda, the top down, just cruising right along, and you just feel one with the car. And then the Shelby, the sounds, the pops, the bangs, the 8,000 RPM redline, 8,250 RPM redline. I mean, it makes you just, ooh, I want to do that again. And I just have so much fun with both those cars. And there's a topic that I figured, you know, I'm sure everyone at home or anyone that's driven either one of these cars might have thought about it. And if you've driven both, you've definitely thought about it. So I appreciate it. I hope you really liked the video. You see here one of our trackHERO shirts. You can see that. Go to www.trackherogear.com, and we're running a sale for this month. But if you haven't, again, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I really appreciate it. So thanks for watching today. Comment below what your thoughts on this are, because I'm curious. You know, I'm either gonna get just crushed, flamed, or there's gonna be some agreement. So thank you so much for watching. Trust yourself. I'll see you in the next one. Brock, go fast.